So we have 1 second. I'm gonna refresh. 7-second delay. Yes.
Okay, I think, are we live? Hello everyone.
Yes,
Please
sir.
let us know in the chat if you can hear us and if you can see the screen. I'm pretty sure you can, but just let us know. We will wait a minute or two. And yeah, hello. I think, yeah, everyone should see the screen, everyone should hear the voice. No technical issues, hopefully. So I think we can start. No reason to wait for too long. Hi everyone, hope every one of you are doing well. Before we jump into the things, as always, the stream is sponsored by CoinMarketMan, which is the automated journal. It takes the API data from your Bybit or Binance account. You can see it's a paid tool, but if you are going to use the link in the description, make an account on Bybit, then you can get the lifetime access to this completely for free. You don't need to pay for anything, so it's pretty nice deal to get the access to the whole journal, you know, all the features. It's going to tell you a lot of things about your trading, which is, I think, pretty nice. So if you want to try that, make a Bybit account on with the link in the description and just connect it on your CoinMarketMan account. Okay, so with this out of the way, let's actually switch to charts. Once again, I will be talking about very briefly about Bitcoin and ETH. If you remember from the last stream, I will kind of very quickly talk about some of my trades and how things went on from the last time we were streaming, which I believe was somewhere on 17th, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, somewhere here. On the last stream, basically what I mentioned was that I will be looking at to this 27k which is this chart, 27k area, which is this +1 standard deviation of the VWAP for kind of a possible continuation to the upside. What I wasn't expecting though is that this is going to be a kind of a short-term top. At least, you know, I was really hoping we would get a little bit of a push back towards like 32k area basically. So I wasn't expecting the sell-off. I didn't take any part into that, but from that last time I mentioned that this 27k area with this like 12, this is the 12-hour chart with this basically swing point. This is that +1 standard deviation of the yearly VWAP. I was expecting this to hold as support, which we did eventually, and push to the upside from that. I want to show you something which I think is pretty interesting yesterday, or basically throughout this week, and I posted about this quite a bit on Twitter as well. This is like the easiest view of this. This is the TRDR.io. I haven't seen many people use it. Basically, it's just show you the aggregated order book. You can see I have a one on Trading Light here as well, but I feel like that this TRDR view is a little more kind of a clean. But you can see basically I have a Coinbase, Binance, Bitfinex, and Kraken here, and you can see the depth on the bit side basically on all these exchanges. You know, we have a Binance here, Binance Spot, we have Coinbase, Kraken, not really Bitfinex, but all these three exchanges that basically bring the most Bitcoin spot volume for those last couple of days that we made the bottom. You know, really were kind of a populating books very heavily on the bit side. And I'm not like the biggest fan of looking at the heat maps and like single points of liquidity basically in the books, but if you see the exchange that is kind of like when basically the whole book is heavily skewed on the one side, you can get some signs of general like demand in the market. You can see if I will take a look at Coinbase, this book right here, you know, we had a very similar situation on the bottom in March. You can see it right here. We have a very similar situation at the bottom here in in February as well. And if I will take a look at this chart right here, this is once again showing like heavily skewed bids and the offers. On one side, you can see that this is the thing that I've been talking about. You know, we had it here, we sold off a little bit, but then all these major bottoms basically after, you know, the initial leg in January were made with this kind of a heavy demand from the one side. So we had that pushed higher from that. It was looking quite weak at the start of the, you know, on Monday we had this failure above the resistance, but then we failed to break underneath. This is, I believe, like a Friday low or just some low. From here, you know, we failed to break it, closed back within this kind of small range, and with this huge demand from all these spot exchanges, you know, we managed to push higher. The books now went pretty empty after leg up. You know, you can see there is, you know, Binance is pretty clear, Coinbase is pretty clear, and Kraken is pretty clear here as well. It's actually getting a little more skewed at the offer. You can see at the top, you know, before we had a sell-off 2 weeks ago or a week ago or whatever, you know. The last leg down, you know, it was looking quite a bit similar. So let me jump back into the trading view for 1 second. This is the 12-hour chart, and we are basically retesting now this consolidation that we made. You know, I can mark it up like this. You know, if this is that kind of a distribution, you know, we sold off from that. Now we are coming back to the retest. I want to point something out on the lower time frames. Is this type of the situation, and I have seen some people shorting this today, and you know, I think it can kind of roll over from here. Nothing wrong with that. Obviously, with like a wide stop loss, your invalidation will be above 31k. What I am personally looking at, you can see on lower time frames, this 2-hour chart, we have a double top here, and we have also these kind of decreasing lows right here. So these are your kind of a weak spots in price. You know, they are very often get tested. So for me personally, if I would be looking for shorts, I would like to see, you know, something like this, like break above these highs and then maybe look for shorts. But yeah, I wouldn't be just shorting this basically blindly, even though this can be the top and this can be just the retest of the consolidation. When looking inside the structure here, you know, I really am not fan of these kind of weak spots that can easily get traded and squeeze any shorts that are coming here at the moment. If we're going to take a look at the perpetual data, once again, I'm gonna switch the screen here, and we're gonna take a look at the BTC USDT here on the Coinalyze. Let's see. Okay, yeah, we had that decent amount of spot buying, you know, coming to the highs. Funding went a little bit negative, but still, you know, this really seems to me, from like an order flow perspective, this seems to me a little bit of a topish structure. We basically rallied, you know, we had the funding was negative, we had a large increase of the open interest, then at this last leg up, you know, you had a decent amount of pukes from shorts basically, and now we are back into this kind of a, once again, pretty positive funding. So yeah, this from like a derivatives data, even the rally from the bottom was nothing much telling, you know, from like there was no one, you know, heavily shorting here or this. In general, the open interest, funding, and all of these things weren't telling much basically from the top, and nothing really changed down here. You know, we had very briefly negative funding, and even on the positive side, you know, positive side 0.01, which is like pretty much the normal one. So there's not much from the Coinalyze you could take, in my opinion, at least. Only thing that was here that this push to the upside was kind of a very heavily perp driven, you know, and which we sold at. If you're gonna compare that to that like push now from the spot bit, there's like an interesting dynamic, because you can see that this move, there was not much of a spot bid when we made this leg up. 2 weeks ago there was, books were empty on pretty much the both sides, and we went up on like a high increase of the open interest. The funding was also increasing, so now this looks a little bit more healthy. But like I said, from like a price action perspective, we are testing into this previous consolidation. I would be most likely looking at one more kind of push to the upside to take out these highs for any possible shorts, if anything. So quickly going back to the trading view. Yeah, so basically this would be my plan now, watching these highs. Obviously longing now doesn't really make much sense. If you're gonna take a look at things from like a simple price action perspective, you can say that we broke the market structure to the upside, on this kind of retracement. So, this is that high makes this low, we broke above it clearly. So generally, and with this being that +1 standard deviation of the VWAP, if you will get the pullback back towards the 28k area, this actually should hold, and this then could be something like, lower high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and then, if we would kind of push back above these highs, then this 28k area should hold. I'm not like super into like stuff like market structures and looking at higher highs and higher lows, but from this kind of perspective, as this is the high that makes this low, took out these lows right here. Now we breaking above it. This should hold on any kind of a retest to hold for the higher prices. Okay, so looking at ETH very quickly. Similar thing, funnily enough, on this push to the upside, I didn't get long on BTC, I got long in ETH, which obviously underperformed heavily, but since it was kind of slower throughout the whole thing, I was able to get decent fills. At the time BTC was already kind of running, so it is what it is. But very similar stuff, +1 the standard deviation. We took out the level of previous support, reclaimed it. You can see this on the this is 2-hour time frame. This is basically the trade that I took. Pick up in volumes under the level. You're going back for the reclaim, retest. Very simple kind of price action thing with kind of heavy volumes coming into that. It's been heavily underperforming. I think ETH BTC, it still looks pretty shitty. One of the interesting things on ETH BTC which I know that everyone is kind of celebrating it. It's pretty much dead at this point, but we took out these lows here, and then we made a new high on this 12-hour chart at least. So ideally, we should be bouncing from somewhere in here. There is a little bit of a gap, coming to this. I would say that this should be a low for ETH BTC. If this is, if this high, if this push to the upside wasn't just like a complete fake out, and this is just going to roll over and go somewhere back into this consolidation. If this was like a genuine push to the upside, this should be the pullback, and we should be really holding somewhere around this area, maybe like a little lower, but yeah. Seeing this low to hold should give some room for ETH and alts, possibly, if Bitcoin is not going to die completely and all of that. So yeah, it's price action wise and structural wise, obviously very similar for ETH as well. This is your consolidation. We technically broke the market structure, as you can see here. This is at high, making this low. We make a new high, so this kind of a trend down, if you want to call it that. It's, once again, I'm not really into much of these things, but this move to the upside, we shifted the structure here. So if we are going to pull back into this, this low should hold. I'm not once again, I wasn't super fan of the fact that ETH didn't really trade it under this kind of 1760 lows, but it is what it is. Now this should actually hold if this is going to be the move. The targets for ETH, yes, I would probably want to see a reaction here, because this consolidation compared to Bitcoin is much more kind of defined. You can see that we took out a high before we sold off on the lower time frames. Yeah, this is kind of nice SR level basically with this kind of excess here at the upside. So if ETH is going to pull back somewhere into this area, and Bitcoin is not going to look like it's about to die completely, I would probably get back into longs, target this level of SR. Just very simple as that. If order flow and all the things that I'm looking at outside of this will kind of go with that as well. So this is the plan. I think for me, for ETH and BTC for the upcoming days at least. ETH is still heavily underperforming. ETH BTC, I think it's at a decent spot for some sort of bounce, but yeah, it's kind of tricky to tell. If Bitcoin would go into like some bigger consolidation and alt, and ETH would be pumping, that obviously would be nice. But really, I feel like throughout this whole year and throughout basically all the legs, expect some small windows of ETH kind of overperformance during this push to the upside, and maybe some other days as well. Really BTC is like a better bet for longs. It seems like it's taking the main spot, and it's not really changing all that much. And I had my fair share this year of just longing altcoins when the Bitcoin would be much better kind of bet to the upside. So trying to kind of stick to that. So to recap, my plan very quickly. I am watching Bitcoin for a reaction above this 30k level. These highs you can see on the 2-hour time frame. This kind of resistance high here, I would like to see these taken before going into any type of shorts. But if we manage to pull back into this area of consolidation that make the leg up, I see this as the break-in structure. So this should basically hold if we want to see a new highs. Obviously, if we would kind of break this underneath this with conviction, we are back within this developing yearly VWAP structure as well. Then I'm very happy to short this back to the yearly VWAP into these kind of lows here as well. But so far, I don't know, doesn't look too bad to me. The things that I'm watching, constantly, which makes it super hard for me to do these reviews, once a week, and then just kind of let things go. Basically, is looking at that kind of a spot demand, looking at CoinAlyze, how perps are kind of behaving at the levels, and all these things should come into considerations basically when we are at the levels where you want to be executing anyway. And yeah, ETH, kind of same thing, but so far weaker performer. So that's basically that. Okay, so this is my plan for Bitcoin and ETH. Let me check very quickly if there are some questions. The bubbles, the indicator bubbles, are the liquidation levels by Leviathan. You can turn on the market order bubbles. They are there is pretty nice calculation for these when it comes to how he came up with that. I'm using like relative volume indicators and candle colorings and stuff like that, but this is showing a little bit more detail about the execution at like closer to the levels. So just a nice addition that I've been using recently.
You know what also shows nice bubbles on the chart?
What?
My favorite indicator, moon cycles.
Yeah, it's similar as moon cycles basically, and Gann boxes and all of that. Yeah. I think that's kind of it for Bitcoin. yeah, not really interested obviously looking for like new longs here, but there is, in my opinion, a little more room to push to the upside. You know, obviously we are still in a strong trend. Nothing too major was lost, even though this sell-off was kind of a unexpected, at least on my end. If you're gonna take a look at the left, there are still these highs, this kind of a resistance level. There is this +1 standard deviation. So yeah, that's how I see things, at least.
Yeah, okay, I guess I can quickly, one sec. Yeah, I kind of want to talk about Bitcoin and ETH as well, because I do believe one of the biggest narratives is actually Bitcoin today, and today's move was pretty violent. It was like, what was it, like close to 10% since the bottom. Yeah, like 10% under 24 hours window. And maybe like this is obviously not confirmed, and I usually trade altcoins with narratives, but if we look at like March 9 to 11th, this bottom right here, when everybody basically, we got SEC lawsuit, we got Ethereum being called security, Kraken settlement, like a lot of FUD. But also what happened in this window is, I don't know why I deleted it, what happened was also we had the Silvergate Bank FUD. And basically, we had this guy. What was his name? Balai? Do you know, Adam? Whatever his name was.
Oh yeah, I don't recall the name.
Yeah, but the guy making the $1 million Bitcoin price.
Yeah.
Right. So this is when all of this basically picked up, because, very quick summary, all traditional banks are collapsing. Buy Bitcoin as your store of value, is like your store of value sovereignty narrative, and it was completely silly in very
if you what is kind of different from like the move we had yesterday and today, and this kind of bottom in March. In March it was way more kind of obvious that there is a huge buying in a spot. If you would look at Coinalyze and scroll all the way back to the March, I remember looking at that bottom, because I didn't really have a level, and I believe we were talking about this on a stream as well. I know a lot of people were buying the bottom. My issue with that was kind of the huge gap underneath, so I had definitely an issues with like placing an invalidation for trade like that. But you can see the difference in like funding at that bottom. It's on the right on your chart, basically.
Yeah.
We came at the lows in the middle of March, and you had like a huge negative funding. You have very clear kind of spot bid, which was driven that now, and like the push from that previous consolidation to 31k we had, that was pretty much a perp driven. Like there wasn't all that much spot buying. Now we had that kind of a spot wall, but still funding now is very much hovering in the positive. So I think there is, I'm not saying it's weaker, but it's not that obvious as it was back then, basically. Because even now, like the spot buyers, basically yesterday, it was around London close, I believe, like in the evening yesterday, you had just like big pickup all of a sudden, basically. Coming into that, there was not much to kind of look at. So this was one of those trades when you really had to just jump in and hope for the best.
Yeah, what is, like, in a way comparison, I just got back to my home like literally like 18 hours ago, 20 hours ago, so I didn't have that much time to look at all the details with this. But what I personally found interesting, since I'm the guy discussing the musical chairs and the coping narratives, and right, so it's like we had a Bitcoin move after what happened today at this, let's call this bottom or whatever, in like this area I'm circling out. We also had some new issues with some new bank. I don't even know the name. I believe it's First Republic.
Yeah.
So it's just basically, if you open Bloomberg, Yahoo Finance, all the classics, like writing about finance in general, this is literally all they talk about. And like simply from this sentiment analysis perspective, sort of, I'm sorry, I know I make up a lot of words right now, but basically this drops right? Same with Silverbank a month or something ago, and we have this massive impulsive move. So this is something I'm personally keeping an eye on, because if this means, we can Google how many smaller banks there are in America. Just imagine we getting FUD every day, meaning bank FUD. And if that means that apes are gonna buy Bitcoin, I'm more than happy, to just scrape basically banks having issues with liquidity and you long Bitcoin. Because as stupid as it sounds, I can see like a scenario where this trade works. And this was 10% move on Bitcoin. I'm not even, we're not even advocating for some illiquid garbage. But we're gonna look at the bouncer in a second, meaning at the coins that bounce the most. But that's something I found interesting. And
definitely. I think a lot of people, what I have kind of seen on the timeline, at least last couple of days, a lot of people were kind of more focused on the fact that dollar index is looking, I don't know how it looks, but it looks strong. S&P had a decent sell-off yesterday as well. So yeah. I think a lot of people got stuck a little bit in this kind of correlation, which is something that I never really looked at. Like this is the S&P. This looks like shit. I don't even know at this point. This is Nasdaq. This is S&P. It's just range bound. Dollar index pushing to the upside a little bit, but also I don't really. I believe there was a period when BTC and ES was heavily correlated. But not really nowadays, and I think the issue is with the correlations like these. So this is the ES from start of the year. The issue with the correlations like these is they come and go very quickly. So you need to kind of, know when to stop looking at these things. And the dollar index, I mentioned this many times on Twitter. I believe this is completely stupid, because dollar index is tracking the Euro USD and major forex currencies instead of BTC. So I never even look at this. Gold is also not looking kind of anything like correlated to Bitcoin at the moment. So I would really not be paying much of attention to like legacy markets and how they look at the moment. If this bank stuff is driving price higher, why not, basically.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of this, I'm gonna switch to mine, is I have actually, let me pull this up. I really feel like it's one of these things when people just say, and this is like by no means no disrespect, but I mean in general what we do in the markets or in life, we look for information that fits our bias. It's something called confirmation bias. It's no fucking magic. We're outperforming by fat margin, and if I go now to 15-second chart and I find a place where Nasdaq dipped and Bitcoin follows, and this helps me sleep at night, then I also advocated for fucking, let me pull it up, moon cycles.
Someone just I will quickly answer this in the chat. Someone asked if BTC is being used as the safe haven asset. I would say to this, there was a couple years ago, or maybe a year ago, I don't even know, was that Bitcoin is hedged against the inflation and all these kind of things, and now you might think that this is a safe haven asset when things are going when it's going up, basically. I would be very careful with this thinking. BTC is still an asset that has like a huge realized volatility. If I will take a look at realized, it's whatever, Bitcoin is very volatile market, so I would be very careful to like just doing something like go all in spot, because it's hedged against something, it's against banks, against correlation, because Bitcoin still can go 50% down and still be bullish. So yeah, it's just kind of my take to these getting too stuck in some sort of narrative with like overall global stuff that's happening in the world.
Yeah, like, narratives follow price. Right now we're pumping, right? So people are gonna make all sorts of bullshit to fit their bias. Simply put, from order flow perspective, auction market perspective on higher time frames, market is trying to find balance, and there's simply more buyers than sellers. And like, if you wanna adjust it to yesterday Alphabet, or previously known as Google, beating earnings, everybody will talk their book, and you can see it on Twitter all the time. There's people shorting because someone CEO of one company farted, and like, you really have to pick your poison. Like, I know a lot of people say that even order flow is a meme, and I agree. Everything is a meme as long as you're like it fits your system and you're making money. What's the point of doing analysis if you're not making any money? Then you should just go find a job or something. But on that point, I think it's fair to mention that right now we're in earnings season, because all publicly traded companies report their earnings, and yesterday we had few earnings which, by no surprise, beat by a fat margin. Today, what is it, Wednesday? So today there's Meta, that's Facebook, right? So honestly, it's going to be interesting to watch Sandbox, for example, and all the metaverse coins. So like, I can see, I'm not going to trade it because fuck that, I'm going to be running instead. But it would be interesting to watch, I think, tonight, because Meta is reporting after US close, so in a few hours. It would be interesting to see how earnings affect Sandbox, if there's still any correlation to these metaverse coins. And tomorrow there's Amazon, and next week I believe there's also Apple, which is one of the last like big companies making the most off of S&P 500 and Nasdaq indexes. And then you have like buybacks periods, etc., blackout windows. It's I don't know, not something I pay attention to. Why I spent such a long time talking about this banks collapsing narrative is Adam touched on it, but I would like to talk quickly about ETH/BTC, because today on this, let me turn off this silly moons indicator one. Adam is not a big fan of astrology.
So just very quickly for the VWeb, I will just send this to the chat. This is the symbol that I use for Bitcoin. It combines of basically 5 exchanges, so it combines all the volumes all together. So your VWeb will be looking a little bit different than if you just use it on like a perp chart or whatever. You can see at the top left corner that I have a symbol for BTC and ETH that looks like this, from Binance, Coinbase, Bitfinex, and Kraken. Binance I have Botspot and perp, so the VWeb will be different because of that. So yeah, the ETH/BTC, sorry, just...
Yeah, no worries. I mean, not like we have super busy episodes prepared, nothing happening. Like what you see with these moves, also if I find the bottom on... What was it? Look at this. This is actually fucking perfect, right? So this is exactly the point where the Bitcoin did like 50% move, right? So this is March 9, 10th, 11th, 12th. And this is exactly what happens, right? So if BTC up, meaning, or like dumping hard, meaning Bitcoin is outperforming ETH, right? So obviously altcoins are not doing that great, with some exceptions. So you can see the first banking, whatever you want to call it, let's call it banking stuff, right? So it's dumping. And today, same thing goes, if I go for hourly, like it's down only, right? Ever since Bitcoin has bottomed, and ever since this banking stuff. So just, obviously I'm not saying this is correlation or causation, it's just something I'm analyzing right now, because there's not that much historical data points to backtest, but something I'm definitely paying close attention, because if BTC down means most altcoins underperforming, Bitcoin as well. So yeah, that also translates. I know people hate this shit, but I look at it, Bitcoin dominance. Look at this move, like it's, if you look on like weekly chart since beginning of the year, Jesus Christ, fuck this, right? I mean, it's pretty close to Bitcoin chart, and in my eyes this is breaking out. Like maybe I'm completely delusional doing TA or like trying to find some sense on Bitcoin dominance chart, but yeah, this to me is breaking out right now. So I can see Bitcoin just taking over, and then several altcoins doing well. Some natural Bitcoin beta coins, which is in my books currently Stacks. Yeah, someone mentioning that there is FOMC next week. Yeah, I agree. We probably, if you don't have any edge, if you feel like you're lost in the markets, I would not be trading that day, or at least manage your risk. at all times. I think it's much better to just wait it out, but maybe something we would cover in next week's episode. Or if you, Adam, have any quick thoughts how to trade FOMC, and are we getting 25, are we getting 50 BPS, is it priced in, who gives a
Yeah, I don't really care, to be fair, about the news. I've been trading for quite a bit and never really paid much of attention to all the things. I just don't execute new positions around the release and manage the trades very with like tighter stops if I'm in positions. But yeah, I have no thoughts about rate hikes and all of these things. It's really, it's with the macro, and I don't want to be like, lot of people that trade the TA or whatever, that like macro is meme and all that. But for me, the macro has this thing that it at first, like, it takes a lot of time to kind of materialize, like a lot of the things when it comes to fundamental analysis. They really can take months for markets to kind of react to that. And yeah, it's also, there is very often the case that like bad news means that price is going up, good news means price is going down. So I always try to kind of stick to things that I do. So I don't think I will have all that much to say even next week before the FOMC about that. Just don't do crazy things about the release. I usually just try to be flat, and if I'm in the trades, I move my stops to the place that I'm not getting slipped and taking huge losses and all that stuff. So yeah, it's not really like that crazy for me.
Back in FTX days, we had we could trade move contracts, so you could easily trade vol. But that's
these were good contracts for that, actually.
So you could do that, or like if you're option savvy, feel free, have fun. This is not what we do. Maybe one day when options become cool, like when nobody uses or open interest anymore. But yeah, that's like
I'm looking at the STX chart here. It's it's not looking bad, but still it's, if you are going to compare this to BTC, it's obvious. It's not looking that good, even though this is supposed to be, the BTC beta coin, basically.
Yeah. So what I can do is, let me actually show it because I prepared it. I've brought up. I'm showing on the chart. This is like best spot returns in last 9 days. Because again, apologies for moving the episode to Wednesday. Maybe like this segment will give us opportunities to look at charts, but these are all Binance listed coins, including spot. So best gainers in last 9 days is IDEX. Then we have Cocos, which is something we discussed in the past, RNDR, Tomo Chain, and honestly, I have no clue what is the rest. But the other one I wanted to show is this. So this is great because this is showing basically biggest bounces since Bitcoin bottom, which was just under 27k. So again, we have RNDR, our favorite coin of Adam, that he did not long. Injective, again, Tomo, Conflux is making a return, and RDNT, seller. So yeah, and Arbitrum. So still like the coins that did relatively well this year, which had any or some of the narrative or news, are still, Jesus Christ, I hate to call it relevant, but like if you're trying to long strength, that's the coins you should be looking at.
INJ is like a super interesting coin. I think this is really, and it pains me so much because I just keep not getting entry for longs on this. But yeah, this thing has been really a, let me just switch to Coinalyze. This thing has been really very interesting mover here. We had a at the bottom, basically, we were kind of starting to bidding this up again. Then you have this kind of huge decrease in the spot CVD on this move down. Like in here, basically, this got picked up so much on the spot limit bid, basically. Basically this means that someone is selling a lot of injective at the spot market. It got picked up so quickly that funding once again back to pretty extreme. It's not that extreme compared to, you know, some of these other spikes, but still, you know, this is once again performing very well. It's just one of those things that it just doesn't make much sense to me to be short this, simply because, you know, you are paying at the moment 0.3% each day on your total position basically. But this chart is like, it's super interesting to me, you know, based on how this basically moved throughout this whole thing. The issue with this, if you kind of look at the price action and, you know, like retesting any kind of level, that would give you a nice kind of a invalidation or anything. This just went, you know. So, and I was actually looking to kind of dip at this kind of 6.1 area for longs. So so yeah, but this is a cool chart, and once again, you know, with funding like this, you have a lot of perp buying compared to this previous leg up. You know, you can see that open interest on this move up basically went down. The perp CVD also kind of went, you know, very very slowly to the upside. Now that the difference between spot and perp CVD is much bigger. It's still heavily bought in spot, thus, you know, the negative funding. But this seems to me weaker. This seems to me like people are chasing, and if this would kind of reverse, then I would feel like the next leg down would be much more violent because of how much, you know, people actually bought this on perps here as well. But I would still not try to, you know, find the top on this. It looks similar like BTC. You know, we have these highs here. You know, we have this previous kind of distribution area, so maybe like a huge spike, then try to short this under. You can see when we made this retracement, you know, and started to look weak, we had this, you know, the funding at the time was like 0.04, which I feel like is more acceptable, and it came on after we made the top. You know, if you would be shorting this somewhere in here, you know, which was like a retest of this level, or if you would be shorting this here, which was after we broke this kind of a consolidation in here, you know, you would be shorting it in basically neutral funding. So look, if you want to you know, short this, I would look for the funding look like this. But if this is going to keep going, I just, you know, this is one of those things where it's really hard to buy because you are getting virtually like no pullbacks whatsoever.
And yeah, maybe to quickly add, we say this every week, but I hope at least one person can take this away. Why would you want to short this? Meaning, let's say you're trading on Binance Perps or Binance Spot. On Binance Perps, there's currently 170 pairs. On Spot, there's 300 plus. And for some reason, out of all the options you can trade, you decided to short the most parabolic altcoin.
Yeah, definitely. I believe that definitely there are coins with which like are much better shorts than INJ. But people love to, you know, short things that go just.
Oh, classic, you know, SXP again. What a surprise! Our favorite coin, the other contender of people shorting.
Yeah, and BNB now has also a heavily negative funding, which is they have some sort of launch pad. I think it was.
It's called Edu.
Today?
I believe it was like, maybe today was the token distribution, but there was a lot of stuff. Saka was tweeting about the CFTC settlement, so not only the launchpad thingy, but also some like regulatory potential, you know.
But you can even see like BNB with this kind of a Ponzi, you know, fundamental thing baked in, where obviously it pays a lot to be in a long position. Basically, it still didn't move all that much compared to BTC. You know, like this is basically that same move on Bitcoin, you know, which did like much more basically than this. So yeah, it's still, I think BNB would be maybe one of the things that I would be more looking to short. This is the ID launchpad, right? Yeah, I think no, it's not, because
I believe there was something else.
This is ID launchpad. This in middle of March basically. Very similar thing, you know, Binance announced the launchpad. I actually took a long here to the upside, but then it just kind of got capped. Heavily negative funding. You know, the launchpad is released. People will start to puke this. You know, with very nice kind of a price action structure here as well. You know, simple SR flip or whatever. If I would be shorting things, I might be looking at to short BNB if, you know, once the launchpad is basically over. If we lose, for example, some sort of level of structure, or maybe we push more to the upside and start to show signs of weakness, the funding goes back to positive, you know, all this will start to puke, and you can see how previously, during the previous launchpad, BNB basically reacted.
So it's this Friday, by the way. It's still going till Friday, and you get a token at around in the morning for Europeans, basically.
Yeah.
So
This took quite a bit. You know, this is basically when the launchpad ended on ID, and you still got a couple of days. So I think no rush into that, but
I think maybe a bit more interesting trade here with this is this new shitcoin that they're gonna announce. It's technically a new coin. So I'm probably gonna go balls deep into that without doing zero. I'm half joking. Relax, not financial advice. No, but for real, like ID is a new coin. Exactly the same scenario like this coin that's getting listed. It's called Edu, Open Campus. Like that's already more than enough research. Like I mean it. Like, you know, new Binance listings just do well. So it would be interesting to see how this.
I remember longing this. This was looking so good. I was longing this here. You know, with the funding going negative. You know, people basically selling the coins and all that, but price holding very well. But then it just died. You know, it just died for so long, and I closed the trade because it was doing nothing basically, and then it just pumped one day, and did like 2x from doing nothing. So maybe
And
more.
Yeah, they also got perp listing.
Okay, yeah, but I think the ID got the perps, I believe, at the same day as the spot got listed as well. So yeah, it was very kind of similar situation.
Interesting. Let me actually, one sec. I just wanna see ID USDT. 23rd, yeah. Does it check out? 23rd March.
Yeah, 24th,
Okay, nice.
23rd. Yeah.
So it's actually, you know, that could be a play. You know, like when you have a new coin with new perps, people just love to short it for some fucking reason. But yeah, something. Point is, on Friday, because we will have a show on Monday or Wednesday, whatever. This is happening on Friday. If I'm definitely gonna be day trading that coin, because it's guaranteed to give us volatility. So yeah, I'm probably gonna look at that. Yeah, I'm at your screen, by the way, if you have anything to show.
You are at my screen. Let me see. I'm at Twitter. I was actually looking for something. I think we can take a look at some requests. This is what I wanted to show actually. Back at this chart. This is from BitHedge on Twitter. One second, sorry. Now we can see it. Okay. Yeah, this is a chart. Someone did that on the new Binance perp listings, which is pretty interesting actually. Basically, the conclusion of that was that they tend to go down right after the listing, but then in the second week, here's the original tweet. Few days after launch, but then rallying approximately 50% in the second week. So this is definitely a kind of a interesting statistic, and it was pretty much the case with Abetrade. It was pretty much the case with the ID. This took a little longer, but both of these eventually, you know, ended up running quite a bit after going down first after listing. So
it did 2x. Wow, more than 2x. Bear market.
So that definitely there can be definitely some sort of edge in this. Okay, so any chart requests, any questions? I think for me, except BNB, INJ, I'm not really looking at altcoins all that much. At the moment, at least. I don't really feel like there is something that should kind of outperform BTC or ETH. Someone mentioned FTM. Price action wise, this is looking okay. I would love to see like deeper kind of push under this. We left the double bottom at least, but you are breaking market structure here to the upside. You are getting back within above this level of support. So as long as this holds, like I said, the double bottoms suck. I am not a fan of double bottoms. I would much rather see some bigger wick under that. But as long as you are kind of coming to the retest of this high, this is not looking that bad for push to the upside. But once again, compare this to BTC. It's BTC is basically back within. This is that consolidation before we had a sell-off. Yeah, you would really need to ETH BTC and ETH in general just have a big pickup. And altcoins in general. But if that is going to happen, then I think that Phantom is not looking all that bad.
Yeah, it's very nothing really special about it. Nothing. Not standing out.
Yeah, like with altcoins, like if you have like some like super obvious, like order flow thing, like the INJ, which basically has this, negative funding thing, which is like super unusual. This is not something that happens, especially, INJ, I was looking at it today, it's trading over $1 billion in volume in 24 hours. So this is like, I haven't seen this year on any other coin, basically, with such a huge volume. So you have like this order flow narrative, if you will, or like technical narrative or whatever. And then you have like narratives of coins that are just hot and people are talking about it as well. I don't know if Phantom has any kind of news coming for it or anything. In that case, AVAX has there's a conference.
Let me just stop you for a sec. You're doing progress, about conferences already, so that's like level 2.
It's because it's in Barcelona and I might be going there actually. So I have very rare situations because I might be meeting with Sazdart and some other people, and I know it's here. It's not so far from where I actually live, so yeah, it's super random, but I know about that.
Okay, nice.
Anyway, yeah, so like layer 1 coins, AVAX has at least something going on, and chart is looking pretty much the same. Like once again, it's take out the lows, make a new high on this higher time frame chart. Same thing, but at least AVAX, has something going on for it. With the conference, they might say some bullish things or announce some things or something like that, basically.
Maybe I can quickly. We talk about like lack of narratives or lack of stuff happening, which is fair. I might very quickly show IDEX if you don't mind.
Sure.
Or like, I don't even fucking want to call it. It's not really alpha, but there's some projects that do marketing, and for example, IDEX. It's a small cap, not something we don't usually talk about. But I would like to talk a bit about IDEX chart and why I took trade on this thing. Is I don't even know where, but somewhere in like last few weeks, they publicly said that there's a bunch of announcements coming regarding V4. Point is, all you had to do is be on Twitter and pay attention, right? And they said something along the lines like end of May or summer. I don't remember exact quoting, but basically saying, look, somewhere in the future, I like to use these. Let's say June, whatever. I don't know the exact. They said week, like last week of May, sort of, on their Twitter, right? So let's say somewhere within this window, you expect some news. So what you can do is look at the chart or look at the project historically and analyze what news do to the project, right? You see a lot of these wicks. Like, it doesn't seem that much, but it's like 50 to 100% wicks. So what you could have done, and what I've done, and I mean, I've tweeted about this as well, so it's not like this is some hindsight analyzor, but you had weeks to basically try to position yourself. And guess what? Like IDEX has a great marketing team. Seriously, shout out to Pancakes, Brach, and Victor. Like they get it, in my opinion. Might be biased, but they started pumping all sorts of teasers, announcements, etc. And even though we're still very far from the announcement, like the price did whatever, like 2x since the bottom. Whatever. Yeah, like I know nobody really caught like 100% move, but the point is there is still the whole premise of this is you can either sit on Twitter and be coping about how all this move on Bitcoin and how this is BUSD manipulation and wasting your time and, to be fair, just coping, or you can be, researching which projects are doing what. And like if you follow the classic crypto Twitter influencers like Adam or Satzdart, not RunnerXBT, who was banned, you would see like it's quite easy to make these connections which projects are doing what. And yeah, that's it. Like I guess my best advice with these like narratives or preparing for these conferences and events is just don't be lazy, and there's still money to be made even though it's bear market and it's Bitcoin pumping. So
yeah, like with the low caps, definitely. I'm not something that I do, but Runner actually DM'd me about this, so I for once made a money on a low cap altcoin. If you are definitely lazy to do this research yourself, just DM Runner. He will be very happy to share all of this with you, so you don't actually need to do anything.
Yeah. One Bitcoin per paid group.
But yeah, there is like still I think plenty of things you can do when it comes to these like lower cap coins and all of that. There's my issue with this has always been the same thing, is that it's very hard to like when you are wrong on this, and you can just lose a bunch of money. You will get wicked out on like very low liquid wick. So there is definitely a kind of a risk to all of this and downside that can happen. But you are still buying a spot at the end of the day. So the worst case scenario is you will become the community member, which is fine if you don't like risk too much or anything like that. So yeah, this was for the low cap coins. I'm not really, this is not something that I been kind of watching, so I have really no idea what else outside of the IDEX is going on. But there are a lot of things. I think on Arbitrum must be a lot of stuff popping out. I have no idea how they perform or anything, but since it's been kind of popular. So any kind of coins? Someone asked about Wu. We kind of skipped through that. If you maybe can switch to my screen for a second.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just fighting Maru on Twitter right now. So where is your screen here?
Wu. Okay, here we go. Yeah, this had very decent run. I have seen some people shorting this, talking about shorts. Obviously got very overextended. I don't know, like it doesn't look all that bad. We are at SR at the end of the day. That's just kind of all I can really say about this. We have a little bit of rejection today. Probably if we start to break down, this might be a decent short. One thing that I would be a little wary when it comes to shorting the exchange coins at the moment, I feel like, and there might be a little bit of kind of narrative in that, is the fact that on March 8th, if I'm not mistaken, Bybit is doing the mandatory KYC.
Yeah. And like limiting withdrawals, I believe.
Yeah, so there will be definitely a change in. I think this will kind of affect the order flow as well, a little bit from Bybit, in my opinion. Yeah. So I'm pretty curious about like what's going to be the next exchange. Maybe because of that I won't be like heavily shorting heavily shorting exchange coins, because if obviously we would see like a huge inflow of new users, that would, I believe, do pretty well for the token itself. But yeah, other than that, it's kind of a same thing as many other altcoins. Basically, this is still performing quite nice, and there was a nice trade here from like a TA perspective, like this kind of thing. I love to trade these things. When you have support, break under that, reclaim that. Buying this here was very nice trade. Keeping this simple though, looking at if you're gonna take a look here at the open interest on this breakout, a lot of buyers, a lot of directional buyers stepped in. So the reason why price is bouncing, not only because it's SR or whatever, is that there was this like genuine kind of buying demand coming into this area. I'm not going to draw all the y-axis profile on OI and everything, but as long as this holds, I think much safer short basically would be under here. If we get under these buyers here, it would be like an easy short compared to trying to short it now, although it looks a little bit bearish basically. I don't know, the exchange wise, this would be pretty interesting. I think we will be talking about this a bit closer to Bybit. I haven't really seen that many people kind of talking about it this yet. Obviously, new ref links are getting promoted every day for the new exchanges. But yeah, I personally don't know what will be the next stop. I don't even know if Wu has KYC or not. But they partnered with CoinLice. I just noticed this, and I remember CoinLice tweeting about they added feed for Wu. This is not sponsored by Wu, by the way. I just
DM me. I'm the DM me.
Yeah, so I never used it. Anyway, yeah, I will most likely just trade on Binance. I have a KYC there anyway, so.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? We have Bybit, what you just said, with KYC limits, and also OKX, which are two like big major derivatives platforms. So pretty much people from USA are, I hope I'm not saying anything wrong, but pretty much screwed. They don't really have a derivatives platform as far as I'm aware. So yeah, that's pretty current problem.
To be fair, like derivatives are not only banned in the US. I know that in like where you are from and where I'm originally from, it's not an issue. But for example, here in Spain, derivatives are also banned. So I'm going to snitch on myself a little bit, but if when I trade and I'm using like Bybit website, I have to use the VPN because derivatives are banned here in Spain. Derivatives are banned in the UK as well, and in many other places in Europe as well. So yeah, I don't know. Like DEXs obviously seem like a nice thing. I tried Direx once. I hated it immediately. So I never really tried any other DEXs.
And maybe like for another day, but I don't get this whole move against QIC. I think like if you're in crypto since 2011, you're probably not watching this stream anyways, and you live on your island somewhere in Southeast Asia, and like it's not like you're not a revolutionary tech bro. Your uncle knows about Bitcoin, so like miss me with that shit. KYC, pay your taxes, and like sleep well at night. I know this might get some hate, but like it's not like, even if you're trying to avoid all that, eventually it's gonna come back with all the CBDC and regulation. It's not like you're just cheating yourself, really. It's better to...
Yeah. Like, I understand that. Like, obviously, non-KYC, there's, like, not too many, like, real benefits of getting KYC. I'm not really too happy to taking selfies with my passport and sending them to some exchange. But yeah, at the end of the day, if you want to do this like a legit way, and if you are paying taxes, which I believe you should, although the general advice on CT is to never pay taxes, But
you know why that's the advice? Because they're not making money, and you pay taxes off of profits. So
Yeah, but like if you want to sleep at night and not be in constant stress and everything, it's gonna come to the point when you will have to do the KYC. Anyway, so yeah, but I think like a bigger issue here is, and I think like a lot of people would be down to do the KYC, like they don't have that much of an issue with that, but and someone is mentioning in the chat like the derivatives are banned in France as well, like it's really banned in like most countries in Europe. I haven't realized that for a long time, but it's really the thing. So yeah, derivatives are like, I remember when I was in the US and I just accidentally logged, this was back in when I was using BitMEX, I just accidentally logged to BitMEX, and my account got just instantly banned, and I couldn't, I had it locked for like 2 weeks, and I had to basically do the KYC there to unlock it there as well. So that will be interesting, and I think it can cause a little bit of like a small run in some of the coins, obviously GMX, DiDEX. There is a mention that Bybit has their own DEX. I have seen some people promoting that as well. It's called Apex. Okay.
Oh yeah, exactly the narrative, right?
Yeah, this is looking actually quite solid.
This was such an easy trade. Oh my god, I hate myself for not. I'm literally hearing about this first time.
Yeah, and the worst thing here is that I knew that Bybit has a DEX, but I haven't even thought about doing this. Yeah.
If you took the long, congrats, sir. You fucking win.
Mm-hmm.
You're a winner of the day.
It looks decently illiquid, but definitely if you want to try to be a little ahead, I would write down all the DEXs that has a coin. Some centralized exchanges as well. I'm not fan of all the BitGets, Maxi, and KuCoin and all of that, but if it has a coin and if people will be moving there, then why not?
Yeah, but nice one. I mean, my excuse is I was on holiday, but fair play. But yeah, it's interesting, like, it goes back to the KYC thing. You see these exchanges that was, like, Bybit was literally the place, right? You cannot trade on Binance or whatever your country is because of the derivatives ban. You trade on Bybit, right? Non-KYC,
Yeah.
blah, blah. And all of a sudden, you have major exchanges in, like, 1 week announce very strict KYC, like, upgrades or step-ups. It just goes back to all the regulation.
It's like a full I haven't read the email. It's like full KYC, or you just have like limits on withdrawals, or
I believe it's like lifetime withdrawals, which are like really tiny.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if you're worth like 7 figures, then it's fucked.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I think a lot of people will move from that. It depends, like, I just think it's an issue for people that are from like a restricted countries, rather than like people really caring all that much about the KYC.
Yeah.
Someone mentioning that US people can do the prop firm, yeah, like, but that's not really a crypto. That's like a CFDs on crypto. I'm not sure that if many people are too eager to trade CFDs. GMX, I think, is GMX with the DiDEX, but the DiDEX banned people from Canada like not so long ago. I remember reading that, which is pretty weird for DEX. But yeah, GMX, I think it's probably is the biggest one.
Yeah, by volume, by far.
Yeah. So, and the chart is also looking pretty decent here as well. So yeah, probably might be a good play coming into people flowing out from Bybit.
Last thing about GMX, I don't have any much more to say, but the issue with GMX is when Andrew Kang is trading, there's often no you cannot open a trade. It is like no liquidity left.
I feel like I see these posts about like liquidations on GMX and liquidations on Synthetics, which is Quenta, I believe. I feel like if it's not just a little bit of marketing, rather than genuine kind of volume, basically. I'm super kind of very when it comes to these things. Like I said, I tried DiDEX. It might be fine. I tried it like a year ago, most likely, probably. I haven't really enjoyed it. Like the places where I would get filled on Binance or Bybit were like completely skipped on Didex and stuff like that. But maybe it got better. Who knows?
Yeah, I think we can. Or do you have anything else? Unless people have requests.
Yeah, if someone wants to ask something, we are going to slowly wrap it up for today. I think no questions.
Okay, guys.
Okay, so yeah, that's basically it for the stream. Should we maybe do once again like a quick recap of things? Bitcoin, ETH, I think I kind of covered that. Like I said, this distribution I believe will play a decent part coming forward. Obviously, if you would break above it, I haven't really talked about the upside targets, but this would be the swing points, 31, 32k, even 34. This is that prior year plus one value. But not to get too ahead of myself, we still need to get through this, and I would be on a pullback to 28k. I would like to see this to hold for any potential upside. And yeah, for the altcoins, I don't know what have you kind of got. What you have mentioned, it's not all that much at the moment.
No, honestly, no. I wish I could, but I rather say there's nothing much than trying to force stuff. I was trading Arbitrum a lot. It just. I'll just see what the market gives.
I would probably look at that new coin from Binance after listing. It will be it will have a decent volume, I'm pretty sure. So especially like if you are day trading, and all of that, it would be good to trade. Someone asking about how do you trade a short squeeze and how to find the spark of the squeeze. I believe spotting a short squeeze is pretty easy throughout the negative funding, without doing something like too complicated. There were the decent cases this year. Let me think if I can remember something. I remember this one, Kava. This was from like February. Had this huge run to the upside, and you can see, it's not that much of a short squeeze, but more like a very strong spot bid. But anytime you will see heavily negative funding on coin, which like if you're gonna take a look something like Ape, which basically has the negative funding all the time because how the token works. But if you see a negative funding on the coins, which usually have a very positive funding, and you will see open interest going up, if you will see basically price going down, open interest going up, and perhaps CVD going down as well with the negative funding, then it's potentially setting up for a short squeeze. GMT or GMX is one of the coins which we obviously rallied all together in January, but this is what I mean by that, and it's pretty sad that I remember these examples from back of my head. Price going up, open interest going up, perhaps CVD is going down, funding is heavily negative, so a lot of shorts piling in here. This is a prime example of a possible short squeeze.
Yeah, this topic is like, we could make like a 30-minute video, so... Yeah, good examples, I think, from on top of my head. Hey Adam, I really need to bounce. I have one more call. So if we 70 minutes in, I think was full of content.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Next week, I think we will do the Monday as we usually do. So See you on Monday.